What is up, guys, and welcome back to episode 19 of the Skeptics Podcast. Hope everybody's doing great out there. We're trying some new setups now. We got a new audio interface, so hopefully the audio is going to be coming through better than it ever has. Got better SD cards, and we're actually able to hear ourselves in headphones right now. So hopefully this all is coming through good for you guys. But just like we start off every single podcast, John Boy, how you doing? What does it feel like to hear yourself taking a step up in life?
It feels good. I'm so excited. Having this new setup, well, not really so much new, but upgraded setup is fantastic. Glad to be here. Glad to bring some information to the table and just living life.
So we are also going to be changing all this up next year. We got plans in the works to where we can actually get stuff up on the walls, create a whole vibe in here. And we don't know exactly what we're going to do yet, but it's just going to be a couple steps, and then we'll go from there. I want to apologize because I will probably have a really long cough. That me and him call, where it's just like one cough, and I'll try to get my head away before I have to do it. So, like we were saying before, hopefully everybody had a great Christmas. Me and John were talking about his and mine over lunch today, and it was good. Had a bunch of good time with the family, friends, and but one thing we figured out, that the world doesn't stop going.
Oh, no.
When Christmas time arises. So a couple things that we've been hearing and some things that we're going to talk about, especially because we are in the gun world pretty heavy, is the amount of shootings that's been happening like all over the place. And I don't know if we've really got to discuss a lot about the healthcare guy. There was an assassination attempt. I got some really weird information on that whole ordeal. Okay. And then now, the long cough, there was a lady that was set on fire in a subway.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Wild.
So, couple things. You haven't heard much on the healthcare thing?
No.
So, pretty much timeline, what happens, is the shooter, which we now think is a guy named Luigi, which has got a whole other weird thing on top of it, pulled up as this healthcare guy was walking out of a building, and what it looks like to us, especially to me, is had some sort of Glock, probably, and made his own suppressor that didn't have a booster on it, and shot this guy in the back of the head, I think it was, a couple times. Gun didn't function correctly, and it was just a really weird scenario. And this is, mind you, happening in public. Like, it's not like it was a hit inside a building. Obviously, the guy had some intel on him, or was watching him for a little while to know where he was coming out of and everything like that. It seems to be that the shooter was a pretty sharp guy in the end, which sucks because now we lost probably a really, really good mind, or we could have been a good mind.
Right.
Because now he's in jail because he killed someone. But the first thing that I wanted to discuss with you is this happened in a big city.
Right.
And when you watched it, have you seen the videos on it at all?
Not much. I think I've seen just like him walking up and shooting.
Yeah.
But like not even the guy like hitting the ground or anything.
Yeah. So, from what we know, what is some steps that needs to be taken in place so something like this does not happen to you?
Well,
hopefully you have not made any enemies that want to do this, and anybody that has enemies, this is not ever the right way to do that. Let's just go ahead and be clear here.
Yeah.
This guy probably could have been, I think he was the top of his class. What's it called when the valedictorian?
The valedictorian,
something of that.
Yeah.
Good-looking guy.
Yeah.
And he did something like this. This guy had the potential if there was anything corrupt in the healthcare world, which I'm sure there is,
Oh yeah.
This guy probably had the potential one day to change it, because you had so much going for you, and then something like this happens. So, from what we know, though,
Right.
you're coming out of a building by yourself in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because if you watch the video, he just walks out, takes a ride, and he walks. I don't even know if he even did this right here.
Yeah. So number one is being aware of your surroundings. And so what does that look like? It's as simple as when you go to exit the building, be already looking outside. Don't be on your phone. Don't be, and try to be in the moment. So like that's a whole other piece of living in the moment, besides being happy and spending time with your friends and being present, is the awareness when you're out and about. And it could be as easy as like the other day, I seen our boy Carson at the store. He was checking out. And so I was like, I'm going to run up here real quick. And so I walked up real fast. And he was like, man, you scared me. He said, I seen somebody coming real fast out of the corner of my eye. It's as simple as that, okay? There's a figure approaching me. I don't know who, I don't know all the details, but they're coming up quick. That can be problematic just by the posture of it, right? And so in this guy's situation, if all you did was walk out, hang a right, and you're just kind of meandering along, he didn't look around. I mean, if you look and you say, oh, that guy looks like he could be sketchy. Why is it dark and he's got a hood on, and et cetera, et cetera. Where's his hands? So just a quick, simple check, and I know not everybody uses their gut feeling. And so, like, that's where I have a bit different outlook. You know, I had an instance in San Francisco where we were trying to get to going somewhere, and I look at my people, and they all have their phone out trying to get the directions, but now who's watching our back? Well, I was watching our back, and luckily, because there was a guy who might have been homeless, might have not been. I know there's some of that whole deal, people who are like pretend homeless or whatever, but very creepy, very tall, large individual, has great potential of being a threat. And so I just had to watch him. Very weird. He was kind of following us. And then I think because he knew I'm watching him, he moved on. And it was easy. So it's simple as that. Being aware, having eyes on him. And you never know. Maybe with this guy, maybe he's going to shoot you whether you look at him or you're not looking at him. I don't know. But more often than not, making yourself not a target by looking around, looking people in their face, and being very purposeful. Like if you look like you're going somewhere, if you look like you know what you're doing, if you're looking around, you're seeing who's around you, you're not as big of a target. And that's proven. Like they've done, like statistically, the people who get attacked are not paying attention. And so that's the biggest piece. Pay attention, look around. It's not, and you don't got to look like a crazy person. You're going to be looking over your shoulder every 2 seconds. Just take a quick look around.
Yeah. By like no means live your life like you're paranoid.
No. No.
I do think there is a certain, what's the word I'm looking for here? A certain kind of, I'm just going to say knowing. If you're somebody that is high in some sort of realm, and we're in this case we're talking about the healthcare realm. I mean, and we've also talked about this. Donald Trump, he's escaped 2 assassination attempts at this time. One of them didn't have anything to do with his security even watching out for him.
Right.
I mean, there was a guy that was like 100 yards away. I mean, on top of a roof.
Right.
I mean, so wherever the lack of communication was in this attempt. But one thing I think it comes back down to, and I think about this all the time, especially when I talk to Cammy and everybody, there's not many times now, especially if I'm going to like out and about, where I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Like, like I said, we were just saying, I'm not saying live your life like you're afraid, but you're in the middle of New York, I think it was, and it's nighttime.
Yeah.
You can't carry firearms.
Nope.
And you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And you're somebody of high stature in something. I mean, I would have something else. I mean, there's not much crime that happens around here.
Right.
But for that, just because I hear that doesn't mean I'm going to leave my doors unlocked. Right. Because I think there's no crime.
Yeah.
It's like I hear in Dubai that it's one of the safest places in the world, and people leave their supercars unlocked because nobody's going to steal them. Yeah, it's nice. I'm still locking my car. It's not like I'm just going to hope. I mean, try to take some kind of steps into doing something that may protect you or the ones that you're with.
Yeah, and that's a good point. The simple fact of being by yourself, there's so much more to it. If he would have just had one more person, like, what's the probability of this guy trying to shoot him when he's with somebody else, a witness? Right. And now, imagine you have a gun that jams, and you've got two people. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now you've shot one, and this other one, you're going to have a hard time getting. Whether he flees the scene or whether he engages. So, yeah, the being by yourself, and that's so crazy to me. All it would take is a simple private security guy. You don't even have to have a fancy one. You don't have to even pay for like the SF guys who do this stuff.
Yeah.
Just as some Joe Blow who's a security guy. He worked for the law enforcement for 15 years, whatever.
Right.
Or he's got some kind of training. Like, who just keeps an eye out, you know. Let me get the door for you. And he looks around. So you don't even have to be the guy that looks around. Pay a guy. If you're a high value person, like this person had to have had money.
Right.
You can't afford one guy.
No, I'm with you 100%. And this leads actually right into kind of the thing that happened in New York with the lady on the subway getting lit on fire. We're talking all about this right now, about a high individual man that is involved in something that could be very fraudulent.
Right.
In the healthcare system.
Right.
We're not even talking about if you're just an innocent woman.
Yeah.
I mean, we already talked about it on here enough. How easy it would be to take down a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's biology.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me wonder all the time. I get fired up about this. It's like if my wife and her friends are ever going somewhere, do the battle buddy system times 1,000. Like, get a whole group of 10 people together.
Yeah.
I mean, not if somebody is going to try to hurt someone, let alone someone that is probably a lot easier than others.
Yeah.
Mind you, my wife can fight very well, but she's 5'4".
Yeah.
So I don't want her walking down a little rock by herself. No. That's just like, it's just like wanting something to happen.
Yeah.
So for the subway thing, do you know much about this one?
No, and it's ironic that you bring it up because yesterday I was talking to a family member of mine. He said, "Have you heard about these people who are lighting their cell phone fire? Like it's some kind of trend."
I think there was somebody like that as well.
And so, no, I've not heard about this lady being lit on fire.
So, legal immigrant.
Yep.
Was on a subway.
Yep.
New York.
Okay.
And what it seems to be now, there's not a lot of information on the woman. I guess she was just homeless.
Okay.
And we don't even know what the what's the word I'm looking for here, the reason why he did it, but he just lit this girl on fire and she burned to death. It's effed up from the start.
So okay, let me pose this first question: is there not fire extinguishers on these trains?
I have no idea.
I would think there has to be by law.
I have no idea.
So what goes along with that is there nobody who's going to try and help put you out?
See, I'm in the same boat you are, but I'm taking it up another step. If I see someone trying to light someone else on fire, like, why is nobody doing anything about it? Like, watching these videos on subways blows my mind because it's like some guy beating up a chick and there's just like 5 guys standing around. Dude, I mean, now granted, I can almost see why they do that is because that one guy was on trial forever because he choked out some guy that was trying to hurt somebody else. Yeah. Now granted, he's out, so praise the Lord on that guy. He was just trying to help everybody out. Take that risk. If somebody is hurting someone, in a facility to where there's more than one person, I would like to say most of the time, once one steps up, there will be more. And it seems to be, when that one guy stepped up and started choking that one dude out, that there was 3 other guys there to help him.
Right.
Okay. Somebody be that one guy. Yeah, because let's make this really clear. If you're on a New York subway system, you know your chances of getting stabs, like, through the roof. Like, everybody knows that if you're on a subway system. When I'm in Chicago, I hate riding that subway because there's, like, people getting on that looks like they just want to fight you.
Luckily, I've not had to ride the Chicago subway. I've been to Chicago.
You're really lucky.
But
because you see some lookers on this thing, and some of them don't look like they're just trying to go by their business. I mean, they look like they're looking for interaction.
Have you been to the Underground?
The Underground?
Yeah, so there's 2 stories in Chicago, in the city. There's like the Underground roadway, and there's the upper level.
No, it would just had to be in the upper, I guess, because we left from. No, actually, I have been to both because we rode the bottom or the lower one from one side of the airport to the other side of the airport, and then now I'm sure that's not maybe the exact one you're talking about, but then we rode another subway from the airport into Chicago.
Well, I'm just saying, like, actually driving your car, like, there's 2 levels, and so, like, when we went this last time, I remember us having to go down. I don't remember why. Like, there was something about the street. You couldn't cross it or whatever. And so, or there was a bridge or whatever. And so we had to go underneath. Oh, my goodness, dude.
Yeah.
We're walking, and, like, there's a group of dudes, and you're like, they are looking to start stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so we kept as much distance as possible and tried to, like, find a better route. And we were able to avoid them. Got back at the top side, which is crazy. Broad daylight. And these cats look like they're ready to throw down.
Oh, yeah. And you're not allowed to have firearm.
No.
But they do.
Oh, yeah.
They don't care.
That's so wild to me. You can't even have the ability to protect yourself in the same capacity. So, obviously, everybody has the ability to protect themselves in hand-to-hand. To some degree. Obviously not, some people know martial arts, some people don't. Yada, yada, yada. Some people are strong, some people are weaker. But when in that, it's a saying that I've always said. I don't remember who I heard it from first, but Samuel Cole created the great equalizer when it came to men, women, and children.
Yeah.
No matter how big or small you are now, guess what? If somebody wants to attack you,
you're on the same plane.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter if I'm big and strong, big dog. So that's why I'm like, that's so crazy. In a place riddled with crime, you can't have a gun.
So, see, my thing that I always think about this is, for one, this sucks in general on the subway issue because I don't think the lady had a place to go. I think she was homeless from what we understand. And so she was just probably trying to sleep, which F the guy that did it. Why? I mean, I don't know. But he's not supposed to be here, so that makes it a lot better. Just imagine if you lived somewhere like that, though, and like you had a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be, hearing that kind of stuff would make me move.
Right.
Like, I understand why people move out of these towns. Like California, it's one of the trashiest places now. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious because we got Hollywood that makes some of the best movies in the world, undoubtedly. And then you go down the streets of Beverly Hills in L.A. and it's just homeless people lined up to the gills.
Yeah. I
don't want any of my family members walking down that.
No.
And people's wondering why you're getting up and moving. Like Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Mm-hmm. Why is people moving? Brother, I walk down your street and then the chances of me getting AIDS is like 95%. I don't even have to touch it anymore.
Right.
Because it's just riddled with homelessness. And I think at a certain point, correct me if I'm wrong and you know any different, most of the time if there's some sort of homelessness, the crime goes up. And it's weird seeing this now because this wasn't a homeless person fighting a homeless person. Right. This wasn't like two gangs that don't have a house fighting each other. This is one guy that's not supposed to be here decides that he wants to do this act for whatever reason and kill this person.
I think the reason why it makes the crime rate go up, it's not the homeless people doing it. Well, not all of it. Like, there is a certain level of, like, muggings and harassment and stuff like that goes on. But I don't know how many homeless people commit violent acts. And so, what's the number of people who are homeless that are doing this stuff? Or is it just the fact that them being around probably means there's a higher poverty rate in the area?
Most likely that.
And so now you have a lot more people who maybe they have a home, but maybe they're also selling drugs or getting into what am I trying to think of here? Bad activities, so that they can either make more money, so that they can get some food, or whatever their reasoning is. I think maybe that's the cause of it, and so that's a telltale sign. Where is it? Portland, Oregon.
Yeah,
that's a whole different beast. So that's like drugs and homelessness, and like you can just do whatever you want when it comes to like doing drugs and stuff. And I think they like literally have a whole like street.
Yeah, they do.
That's like blocked off, and like homeless people live in it. In the street.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And so if you wonder why that place like there's people who've moved away from there, and there's people who I watch who like live in Oregon, and they'll go down and like they'll like record and show you like how crazy it is. It doesn't even look like America.
No, not at all. It looks like, I know what you mean. That's a good point. It looks like you're jumping to some country that doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like third world country really quick.
Yeah. And so I'm amazed when I see this stuff, and that there's people who could do something about it and choose to not to. That's how I feel, at least.
Right. I remember when we went to, I was about to say Dallas, Texas, but it's not. Denver, Colorado. I've never been to Denver ever, and it was me, Cody Allender, his wife, and Cammie, and we were just we had some time.
Yeah.
We were close. We were camping up somewhere out of it. We wanted to drive through. Dude, we went down this one street, and it's a homeless city. Like, for at least a mile, you can just see tents.
Yeah.
And in the background of that, then you see skyscrapers. And you're like, dude, it throws the whole vibe off.
For sure.
Then it makes me think, I'm not walking down this street. Like, why would I walk down this street?
Yeah, I mean, you're choosing, like, a harder path.
For sure.
Or a more dangerous, or however you want to say it. That's like, we went, it's this year. I sometimes get my timelines mixed up, but this year we went to Gatlinburg.
Mm-hmm.
And so we passed through Memphis, just briefly, on our way to Nashville, because that was going to be our first stop, Nashville, and then on out. And, dude, stopping in Memphis on the way back, because we had to get gas, we were like just on the outskirts. We're trying to avoid going like to the inner city as much as possible, and so we did. But even on the outskirts, dude, we pull up to this gas station. There's a dude with his truck, doors just open, and he's just out here hollering at the guy at the pump across from him, and they're good. They're going back and forth, and you could tell, like the feeling, like everybody else had, like when we went in to go pee and stuff.
It's like you can feel tension.
Yeah.
I know exactly what
it's
you
really
mean.
tense, and you're just like, I'm ready to leave.
Yeah.
Because you're just putting yourself in a situation that, especially like Memphis, like if y'all know, I think everybody knows at this point. Like, I'm not saying that all these other cities have poverty and are so terrible. No, we live right next to one of the most crime-ridden cities there is.
Yes.
And so, it's terrible. You can feel it when you're there. And you're like, I just want to get away from here with my family as quick as possible, because that's going to be the best option.
Yeah. The number one way to not be in a bad situation is just avoid the whole situation.
Yeah, that's like the whole.
It's like when you were younger.
Yeah.
And there was people that had like killer parties, and you know they did.
Yeah.
And the chances of you meeting like a good-looking chick there.
Yeah.
You could meet a new group of friends or whatever, but you have to get past, they're doing meth in the back, everybody's drunk, and their parents are part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't go to that.
Yeah.
Anybody that's younger, like we were talking about right now, when we were younger, don't put yourself in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
Like, don't put yourself in it if you one day you get in a fight with somebody, and then right after that there's like a big party going on, and that same person's going to be there. Don't go.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And it might suck at first, but you know what? It doesn't suck, it sucks way more when you can't walk because you're beat up.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it like this. This is like the greatest way to look at it is the avoiding of the bad situation.
Yes.
So then if you find yourself really close to harm's way, like there's a guy and he's ready to try and get in a fight with you. Like, let's say you go to a bar with your buddies. You find yourself at a bar downtown somewhere, wherever your local city is, and some guy bumps into you and he's like, "Oh, dude, like, we're going to fight." Just leave. Run away.
So true.
There's like, "Oh no, you look like a chicken." No, actually, I'm not hospitalized.
That's right.
Like, that's realistic.
I'm with you to the T. I have one friend that they like to get in altercations. And I'm not saying full on fist fights,
Right.
but they like arguing and everything. And me and you like debating.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'll sit here and debate against somebody all day about something that I don't believe.
Right.
Now, granted, I don't want to make you mad,
Right.
or vice versa. This person does, and it's like when I go places with them, I'm like, don't talk to no one. Like, there's no reason, because if some person comes up to me, a perfect example, we were in you know the story. We were in a club at Branson, and this guy came up to my face and kept saying "F you" to my face.
Yeah.
You know what I didn't say back to him? F you too,
Yeah.
and then gave him a right hook. You sit there and you just look at them and smile and look at them like they're an idiot. Because all they're wanting from you is for you to start it.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
They want that reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know how stupid they feel when they walk off after that and they're like, you know what, this guy didn't even give me the time of day. Pretty stupid. And you don't have a black eye.
Right.
So,
like, those are easy, I would say, conflicts to avoid. You know, roping this back to like the beginning of this conversation, when there's people who are out to get you,
yeah,
that's a different beast.
for sure.
And obviously being like, I'm not a high level target or of any kind that I'm aware of. Maybe there's somebody out there that doesn't like me enough, but I doubt it. And so in these more easier situations, it's a matter of just being like, all right, cool story, bro. Have a good one. Like, I'm not getting in a fight with you over some nonsense.
Yeah.
Because something that was pointed out to me here a while back, you don't know what they got, and they don't know what I've got either. So there is that, vice versa. But also, like, what if you say F you and they just pull a knife out and start stabbing you?
Right.
It's like, well, great. Now you have to go to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could die.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nothing good comes from that.
No, and let's also be really clear about this, and we're saying this because we love everyone.
Yeah.
The setup for a man and a woman is completely different.
Yeah.
Me and him, both dudes, love women. I love my wife.
Yes.
For us, there's not many times we could be walking down the street and people like look at us and they're like, that's a target.
Right.
A woman, especially a really good looking one, could become a high value target quickly.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I emphasize even more if me and you were walking down Little Rock.
Yeah.
Whatever. Strapped up like we always are.
Yeah.
Let's say a guy looks at us and let's just say he plans on kidnapping us. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't really know anything else besides just beat you up. What is the probability of a threat when it comes to him looking at us? when one guy's looking at us,
Mm-hmm.
and mind you, we're not super jacked. We're not. I mean, we wear normal clothes. We're not walking around like tier 1 guys. I mean,
right.
And we don't look like them.
No.
So it's like, what do they think when they look at you?
I think for the most part they say, all right, that's a regular guy. he's headed wherever he's going. He looks like he's got purpose. We're going to leave him alone.
What's the probability that he thinks he could kidnap one of us?
Man.
Let's say he has nothing either. Like, no weapons. It's just his hands.
5%, maybe.
Okay, so kind of on the same level
Yeah.
that I was thinking. Like, on a scale from 1 to 10, being 1's the lowest, 10's the highest.
Yeah.
Seeing 2 guys that walk with purpose down the street, and I want to kidnap one of them, I'd say it's like a 2.
Yeah.
Like,
on a scale of 1 to 10,
yeah, he's looking at us like, there's a 2 out of 10 chance I can kidnap one of them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that with 2 girls that's 5'4",
mm-hmm.
walking down the street. It jumps up to like an 8.
Yeah, 5'4", let's say they weigh 120 pounds.
Yeah. It's and nobody has weapons, and this is we're just saying this. He's going to come up and take one of them. It jumps up to like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
So the rules of engagement, or I guess should I say the rules of not engaging, is completely different when it becomes men and women. You could be 2 or 3 guys walking down the street, and you're probably fine.
Yeah.
Unless somebody is like wants to hit all 3 of you.
Right.
If you are a good-looking girl and you're walking down the street and you definitely know there's crime in this area, the chances is so much higher. So your plan of attack, let's call it, is way different than ours is.
Right.
I would also say it's even more of a reason to carry a firearm. Times 10. If you got 3 built dudes and one of them is carrying a Glock, that's awesome. Now you got 4 5'4" girls when they all got guns.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen some mean women.
Yeah.
I can't imagine 4 of them.
Right.
And they're all trained where they could shoot a target from 10 yards.
Right.
Good luck to that guy.
Yeah.
So, definitely, if you're a dude, think about it. But if you're a woman, really think about it.
Yeah.
Like, to the T, because that healthcare guy, I think that dude was really just trying to hit him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't talk about it on here because we don't know the real stats of the amount of people that get kidnapped every day. And we're not even talking about children yet.
Dude, the kidnapping stuff, I looked into it a little bit here a while back. Another creator did a project where they were doing a giveaway for a truck, and all the money they raised was going towards... I'm probably going to fudge this. It's something 21. Something. Project 21, something like that. But they go towards trying to rescue and actually fight human traffickers. So, like, they're the people who are taking the fight to the people who are actually out here selling people, which is such a crazy thing to even say.
Right.
And that is wild. But, yeah, for women, it's so crazy. Like, just even the other day, I can't help myself because I'm always on such a lookout for myself that I see other people who could be vulnerable. And so, like, there was a lady who was getting her kid out of the car, back turned to the street, couldn't see nobody. I was, like, leaving a store. And I thought, okay, I'll walk slow and take the long way over here where I don't look like a creeper because I don't want anybody to perceive me as the bad guy. But I also want to make sure that she gets to the store okay. Because it's a lady by herself with her kid. And it just, me taking a little bit extra time to get to my truck, in a you know, making it not obvious.
Right.
And it's just like, hey, you know, walk into my truck. And then she made it in the store. And I was like, okay, I feel better knowing that this person that I've never met made it in there safely. Now, obviously, you can't protect everybody and wait in your truck, and now that makes you a creepy person.
Right.
So, if you feel compelled, if you feel something like that.
Well, kind of like we were talking about, you call it listen to their gut.
Yeah.
I was kind of calling it like you feel tension.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something weird and you can stay to observe it for a little bit, there's no problem.
Right.
It's like something we could say to all of you guys, because I would say a lot of us is probably 99% of the viewers is probably guys.
Yeah.
Is everybody here, including the ones that we're doing the podcast to, I'm sure want to protect their loved ones.
Yeah.
I think everybody, that's a given.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in an academy sports and you see a woman and there's a guy that's kind of acting kind of weird towards her.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to follow him home, but just kind of keep an eye out, because if you have a chance to stop something, you will feel way better than that than if you didn't. And especially, don't be someone that sits there and just watches it.
Right.
Going back to the girl on the subway, what it took is maybe two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're putting your life in danger, but it ain't near as much as an innocent woman just laying there.
Yeah, especially somebody like that. So, like, somebody who's just laying there, that's crazy. Like, we're talking about somebody who's getting nabbed. Somebody they're out, they're moving, they're in the town. No, it's a lady laying there on the subway. Sounds like she was homeless. And somebody comes and lights her on fire. Like, first off, try to, just be like, hey, bro, what are you doing?
Exactly. Just start bringing attention to the area.
Yeah, and then, most of the time, that's enough. Like, because
it's huge.
For them to be like, oh, and get nervous and then, change their mind.
Remember when we were talking about the Trump assassination guy that was on the roof? All it needed probably to avoid that whole thing was, because apparently there was people there, and they were trying to get cops' attention, and it wasn't working. There was a guy on this roof. You know what would have got everybody's attention?
Oh.
A couple 9mm shots in the ground.
Yeah.
It just brings attention to that area.
Yeah.
So if you see some guy perfect example. If you see some guy and he's picking on some chick and you don't want to be that guy to go up there and say something about it, as crazy as this sounds, walk up and just grab a shelf of clothes and throw it down.
Yeah.
It brings just enough attention to that area to where that guy's probably like, oh, whatever.
Right.
Like the healthcare guy. I'm not saying this could have happened because I'm not blaming anybody.
Right.
But if there was anybody, if I walked out of a place and I look to my left and I see a guy that's hunkered down or whatever, the right thing to do would be walk in that place and tell wherever the place is, say, hey, there's a guy that's outside that looks sketch.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even, because you don't know who his target is.
Right.
It's not like you're walking directly up to the guy that's sitting and being like, brother, there's a guy out there trying to kill you.
Right.
It just go up to whatever establishment it is and say, hey, there's a guy that's out here. He looks kind of sketchy. He looks like he's waiting on somebody. Might want to call the police.
Yeah.
That would have, because you know what would have made that guy run faster than anything? Cop sirens.
Yeah.
So there's so many different ways that you could stop altercations without fully getting in an altercation.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
You don't have to try and be the hero.
Yeah, sometimes you should be.
Sometimes, you should step up.
I'm tired of people saying, don't be the hero. No, be the hero. I'm so tired of that.
But there are other ways to try and help bring attention. Maybe you don't think that it's gotten to an escalation point yet. And so maybe you do you knock something over that draws a crowd or you make a lot of racket. Something like that to maybe even help stop something that could about to go down.
Yeah. We were in Walmart one time. This was not me. This was actually my mom. Shout out to my mom. And I was actually traumatized by this moment because I didn't want the attention. But me and Derek, my little brother, we were little, probably 10. Yeah. Maybe. And we come around the frozen food aisle, and there's two chicks fighting each other. Pulling hair, grown chicks, probably in their 20s. Yeah. Punching each other, and there was a guy that was in the middle of it, telling them to fight. Yeah. It was wild. So, I'm watching this as a little kid. I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here all you know what my mom starts doing? Starts screaming. Yeah. And you know what happened? It brought attention to them, and they stopped. Yeah. And you know what happened to what I did? I ran off. Because I didn't know what was about that. I thought someone was going to tackle my mom or something. I'm 10. There's no way I can fight back. Dude. But, I'll never forget it. But just that, and I thought, how in the world did my mom just do that? But now I look back and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, a couple people think she's weird. There's a lot of people think I'm weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, but if those two people are not fighting each other now, then it's just the whole thing off.
And just listening to your gut. Like, let's say if you're a lady, okay, and you see somebody who you think is creepy, that there's a book called The Gift of Fear. Okay, I've not listened to it or read it. It was recommended by another individual, and it starts off with a person who gets attacked. I think they were even sexually assaulted. But like, there's these red flags, and there's these weird feelings you get, and most people ignore it, or they're on their phone and they don't even get them because they're not paying attention. And so, if you could just try and have a little bit more attention and awareness, I think it goes a long way. And there's ways that you can try and prevent it before anything even ever happened. Like, I was in Walmart, and I was in charge of my younger brother. We're going to go look at the toys. My mom was like, all right, y'all can go. You have to go as a team. And so I've been using the buddy system forever, pretty much. But I remember walking past the automotive section, and there was a guy who just, something was up. And I remember when we were checking out, I seen him. He was arrested. The cops were taking him out of there. So, I don't know, maybe he was stealing. Maybe he was in there creeping on people. Who knows? But the guy who I had a bad feeling about was going to jail. So, listen to that. I was like, yeah, we're going to, so I quickly made the change to go a quicker way away from where he was at. And then I'm on the lookout for that person, because turns out I was right. He went to jail. He was up to no good.
Right.
So,
so I'm getting to like the age of my life where I want to start having kids.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to think about. But I try to think about nowadays what do you teach them when it comes to these kind of things? Because as a child, I mean, you can be scared of anything. Like, I mean, you could have a nightmare, and then, I mean, back when I used to have nightmares, dude, I'd always go wake my parents up.
Yeah.
So, how do you teach them these kind of principles without extenuating the fear inside them? It's like nowadays. I mean, when me and you were in school, I don't think I had a 1% fear somebody was going to shoot up our school.
Dude, I had 0%. Even towards the end of my like K through 12, it was towards the end whenever we had to do a training for it. And at that time, it's way different than it was now. Like, it was just some lock the doors. It was kind of cheeks. I'm like, this is stupid.
Really, yeah, well, I could go into a whole other thing about all that.
Yeah, but I was like I didn't think that. I was like, dude, that's not gonna happen here. But now, I feel like those chances are way higher.
So how do you go about teaching a kid that?
Man,
At what point do you even mention anything to them about it?
So that's the part where I have trouble. Like, at what point do you start? But I do know this. This is a key point in how I think, people behave. And obviously, every person's going to be different. So I'm not going to say it's going to work the exact same for every kid and every parent. But if you treat your kids like adults, that is such a huge factor, man, in having them, watching you. So that's another one. You have to be the role model. So if they watch you do these things, they will want to mimic them. And then essentially it'll become just baked in to who they are. So by you being the role model and them watching the things you do, how you act, and then treating them like an adult, giving them the. And yeah, they're going to mess up their kids. That's how it works.
Well, we mess up.
Yeah. And so I think that's a big factor, though. That's something that, my family in particular has always harped on. And to the nth degree, I can tell you a story about that. But just the fact of, hey, you don't see me running around I don't run around the store acting crazy and yada, yada, yada. And, I always go with Mom. Me and Mom always we go buy groceries together. Or, hey, trying to instill in them, like, having somebody with you or paying attention. Hey, watch where you're going. You need to be looking around.
Yeah, sure.
How did you get here? Do you know how to get back from where you went? Like, it's as simple as that. Like, if you go to the toys, do you know how to get back to the frozen food aisle?
Right.
Like, don't even make it, how do you get home from Little Rock? Like,
yeah.
That's crazy if they're a little kid. Now, the older they get, yeah, that's smart. But just being like, hey, how about you put your phone down, look out the window. Now they've seen where they're going. It's small steps that make big impacts.
I know the one thing that I never thought I would ever be like this, but the older I get, and the more I think about it, especially in today's time, is when my kids do get old enough, or when I have kids, I guess, and then they get old enough to go to school.
Yeah.
I'm going to know those teachers inside and out because those teachers get more time with my kid than I do.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really, really tough for me is if I don't think that teacher can protect my kid.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I'm not, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me. That's fine. There's not many things that you could learn in school that you wouldn't, that you can't learn like outside of life.
Right.
Like the things that actually matter. And then, now granted, I'm not saying just cut out like cursive and all that stuff, even though nobody uses that.
Right.
But I can teach my kids so many things outside of school. The one thing that I need you to do while you're in school is two things. I need you to try to instill the same values that I have into my kid and just double down on them things.
Yeah.
And I need you to protect my kid because I'm not there too.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, that is the main priority. That's crazy to even think about. It's like there's priorities that's going to be different. Because when my kid's 16, 18, or whatever the heck he is, and somebody shows up at school and with intending to do something bad, my kid's going to go know two things very, very well. How to protect someone and fight for him or run. Yeah. And it's that simple. Yeah. I mean, but every year younger than that is going to be based off of how well somebody can protect my kid. Right. Because I don't even care if you're not the smartest kindergarten teacher. Right. I don't care. I'm like, it doesn't matter to me whatsoever. As long as you're not going there and teaching my kids some BS stuff that's like way off the wall, something about gay people or something like that. Yeah. It's not needed at that age. What you need to do is go in there, teach him the common things, common sense. Let's go back to common sense. Very easy. Yeah. That's like that's like kindergarten through like 6th grade. Common sense. Yeah. That's it. Protect my kid. Yeah. Because in the instance, I can't imagine what it would be like one day if I got the call and said there was a shooter at Paymer. Right. You talk about dropping everything and going. Yeah. And then you got some cop outside telling me you can't go in there. Oh, yeah. You're about to get shot. Yeah. Or, let's be real, just run around them. Oh, yeah. Like, be fit. And because most of them aren't now, cops. Yeah. Just take off running around. There's multiple different ways that you can get in and out of places. Yeah. This is why you learn these things. We harp on it all the time. Train for all kinds of different things. Yeah. But you think about I'm thinking, as I'm saying this, in the head of a father of a son. Now you think about this how you do for a daughter. Now, by all means, still teach your daughter how to protect. Yeah. I mean, if you can do that, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to fight Jocko's daughter. No.
Have you seen some of her, like fighting stuff? Yeah. Man.
So it's like, I want her on my side. Yeah, for sure. Stout. But they also need to know when you need to leave, you need to leave. Yeah. If, for whatever reason, you're 17 and kind of going into, well, we could actually make a whole podcast about this, and I would actually love to talk about the whole school shooting thing. But if you're in your classroom and you hear gunfire at the other end of the building, and you weigh your odds, and it does not seem like you have anything to protect yourself, don't stay in the same place. No. Leave.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
One of the only teachers I had that said if a school shooter's on property, y'all just run. Like, just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because school's over that day.
Yeah.
Let's just be for real.
Yeah.
So, time to get out.
Yeah.
And then, now, by any means, if for whatever reason you do have the ability to protect yourself, and you could potentially stop a threat, sometimes you got to be the hero. There's always a hero in some story.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, weigh the odds. I don't want everybody getting shot.
Right.
Or whatever the case is.
Be smart about it.
Be very smart about it. But I'll never forget. You were kind of talking about the school shooting drills.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm just waiting for somebody to show up, and I'm sitting in a room to where I can't get out.
Luckily, I was in Mr. Harris's too, for a couple of them that we did, and he was like, "This is what they want us to do, blah blah blah," and I'm like, "All right, copy that." So we're leaving.
Yeah, that's it.
You got it.
I remember that we were in Mr. Burster's room, and that's when we had one of the false.
Yeah.
Somebody was coming from another town, and they said they were going to possibly shoot something up. Yeah. So we took it serious, as one should be.
Yeah.
In reality, everybody should have just left. If there's a shooter on the way, leave.
Yeah, what are they
He's
going to do?
not there yet.
Yeah. If oh no, everybody's gone, I can't do anything.
Yeah. Oh, snap. Not bad. And I'd go to the next one. And you call the next one and say, just tell everybody to leave. Yeah. Anyways, something else. I'm in a science classroom, which is a pretty good place to be. I mean, you got scaffolds and all this other stuff. And now, was I taking it as serious as I should have been? Probably not.
No.
I think me and, shout out to Lee, were wrapping textbooks around our stomachs as like bulletproof carriers. And I'm sure my science book would have stopped at 9 mil.
Dude, there's some thick
That's what I'm saying,
yeah.
like that thick. But I will tell you, after taping these books around me and everything, we got a stick and we taped a scalpel on the end of it. You know, Mr. Burster was down for all this. He was like, "This is sick. Yeah. I'm going to go make some bombs in the back." But I was sitting there and I was talking to Lee about it. And I went to look up at our window in our school. And our school was actually a very nice school.
Yes.
And I said to Mr. Burster, I said, "Are these windows bulletproof?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "When have you ever heard of a drive-by shooting at a school? At a building?"
Well, at a building?
Yeah. Did we lose something?
I think we lost audio.
Did we lose audio? Oh. Sure did.
Is it recording?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, folks. We messed around with our new interface, and the batteries did not last near as long as what we thought it was going to last. So, anyway, what was I saying?
You said, have I ever heard of anybody doing like a drive-by shooting?
Oh,
so
yeah.
Only like at houses. Residential areas, yeah, I've heard of it. It's normally like in the hood and like L.A., you know, down to Compton and something like that. But never at a school.
Well, because...
Or a business even.
And you know what most of the 9 out of 10 times comes when you got bulletproof glass? You can't open it.
Yeah.
It's stuck there.
Yeah.
So, I would love to talk to who came up with that idea, because most school shootings that we have found, that we can get the manifest, they're pretty personal.
Yeah.
It might not be against like one particular person.
No.
But it may be like a certain group that was in school, a certain race, a certain religion group.
Yeah.
Anything like that. 9 out of 10 times, those are not. They don't want to take guesses.
Right.
If they're hitting someone.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason. So I think the whole school mapped out system needs to be different. Now I don't know if they're all like our school, but
I don't know if those windows are actually bulletproof either.
They might not have been.
And so that's another thing. Is like
they're definitely like shatterproof though. There's no way I could hit those windows and they'd break. I mean, do you not remember how thick they are?
So that's what I'm curious about though. I wish we could test it somehow. But like one of my brothers gave my other brother, the older brother gave my younger brother a bracelet that had a carbide piece on it. Because carbide's hard, dude.
Yeah.
And it's designed so it looks like a hair tie, like I keep my hair back with, and so it's got the elastic, but it looks kind of just like a bracelet. Well, it's designed to shatter windows though, and so with that idea in mind, it was like, hey, if something was to go down at the school, bust the window out. If nobody else wants to leave with you, that's fine.
Yeah.
You get out of there.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's your best option.
No, I agree with you for sure. I mean,
So,
remember we used to be told like an acronym that was for school shootings.
I don't remember this.
It was like run, hide, lock down, or I can't remember. It was a certain thing, and it was supposed to be, this is what you were supposed to do in this instance.
Right.
And not one of them was like, I don't think one of them really was run.
Right.
I think it was more of like hunker down,
Yeah.
lock the doors, turn the
Barricade
lights
doors,
off,
yeah.
all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You're sitting in a death box,
Yeah.
just waiting for something.
That's like being fish in a barrel.
For sure. So yeah, why not just and who's going to get in trouble for that? Like, if you had a teacher that was like run,
Right.
well, you're not getting in trouble for that.
I don't know. So that's where I'm like, sometimes I think that's where people think they're going to get in trouble. If I'm a parent and somebody tries to fire you because you saved my kid's life by letting them leave the building, dude, we're going to get along great.
That's
and
right.
I'll fight for you.
That's right.
So
what's so cool about all this?
What?
And not the situations,
Obviously, yeah.
is we're able to sit here and have this conversation and not blame guns.
Yeah.
Because we both know it doesn't have anything to do with that.
Well, and I don't think we've sat here and just blamed any one individual.
No.
It like obviously they had a reason. Now, we don't agree with what their choice was to go shoot up a school. But at the same time, most of these people had something happen. There's something that led up to this. Maybe, they didn't get the love they needed at home.
Right.
And then when they come to school, they get bullied or whatever. And that sucks.
There's a lot nowadays that's just the internet.
Yeah, and that's so wild, man.
I mean, the recent one that happened, the girl did it.
Yeah. Where was that? Like north somewhere?
Yeah. She was part of a Reddit group that was about school shootings.
See, like, that's where I'm curious. Like, I want to know these people who are doing the most recent ones, and like the crazy number that you told me the other day. I can't remember what it was, but it was, first off, one is higher than it should be.
We
should be at 0.
For sure.
But the number you told me, it was like an insane amount we had just
during 80.
During the school season. Not this year, but since school.
Yeah.
And like, I want to know what's driving a lot of these people. Is it these websites and these online outlets that they're on that's, for a lack of better terms, poisoning their mind?
Yeah, it's feeding the most. What's the word? I just had the word. Exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's poisoning. It's inflicting the most evil things on people's minds that's not developed yet.
Right. The most like sponge-like or absorbing minds. Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with the internet.
Yeah.
Because I can't say that I didn't grow up in an abusive family by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't give my take on that part. I mean, I still can, but I don't have enough experience to back that up.
Right.
What I can tell you is, though, when me growing up, like Grand Theft Auto, you know that game?
Yeah.
I played that game when I was extremely young.
Yeah.
Like, extremely.
Yeah.
But I never once had ever thought, I want to go do any of this.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember playing some of that, and it's not like I'm sitting there playing it And then I'm like, you know what? This would be a good idea in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I put it back to, and I do think most of these kids, their parents have a little bit to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's not necessarily that they were bad to their kid. I think it was a neglect of love.
Yeah, I don't think they were present.
That's good, because if your kid is able to sit there
mm-hmm.
on a computer
mm-hmm.
and look all this stuff up,
yeah.
and you're not ever asking a question about any of it,
yeah.
You need to get in your kid's life a little bit more.
Yeah, and just think about this. They have enough time to sit there and absorb this kind of content. Not only is it going unchecked, but it's also like, from the way I would look at it, they're probably like, oh, they're just in their room on their computer. No. Why don't you ask them how they're doing?
Right.
Check on them. How was your day today? This, that, the other, And guess what? Yeah, parenting's hard and it sucks. And you're going to have kids that go through phases where they're not going to want to tell you about it. And it's going to be an argument and this and that. Cool story, bro. You're a parent. It's going to be hard. It's your job to make sure that your kid is doing all right. And that they grow up to be a good person. Like, it's kind of on you.
Oh, for sure.
So there is a certain degree where there's not everything you can control, but there's a lot that you can influence.
Like most of these, like the girl, for instance,
mm-hmm.
her dad taught her how to shoot guns.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad at all.
No.
Teaching your kid how to shoot guns.
No.
You know what is bad, though? Is when your kid can manipulate you to get guns for no reason.
Yeah.
That's what's bad.
Yeah.
Because if I can't remember how old she was. Let's just say my 14-year-old daughter was about to go to school. She came up and said, "Hey, Dad, can I borrow that rifle?" No.
Well, also, I'm curious. So, that was a big thing at my house, okay? Because, I built my first AR with my dad at 15. And so that's pretty young.
Yeah.
And I've got a very capable weapon system at this point. At no point ever did I ever think, I'm going to use this for any kind of bad. I was just like, let's go shoot a pumpkin.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And so the other side of that is, we had a safe in the house. It was locked. It was in my parents' room. And I didn't have access to it until I got to a certain age. It's like, no, I am in control of when you get to have a gun.
Yeah.
Because up until a certain point, it's not only like a trust issue, but it's also just like...
It's a safety issue.
Yeah, it's a safety hazard.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Right.
Even if I've taught you and you're responsible, you still can be influenced. Let's say your buddies come over and they're like, oh,
exactly.
Let me see that one. And then you accidentally shoot your friend.
Yeah.
You'll never be the same.
No, never.
And so you can literally stop that from happening.
Yeah.
By having control of where these things are and how they're locked up.
You know what I just thought about? This, I think, could solve 95% of all the school shooting problems. Instead of us worrying about the age or the access that kids can get of firearms,
mm-hmm.
you should probably be looking at the access of the internet and
yeah.
all that stuff. If your kid's 10,
yeah,
and he knows how to shoot a gun, cool. But he
right.
doesn't know how to get on the internet, cool.
Yeah.
Flip it around, and now let's see how dangerous you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Now because you imagine, you just said you have a kid, you
mm-hmm.
teach your kid how to shoot a gun,
yeah.
you put the AR together, do all this other stuff,
yeah.
whatever, cool. You got a bonding time with your kid,
mm-hmm.
you can talk about everything, you're on the same level.
Yep.
Now let's say your kid looked up a YouTube video on how to build an AR-15,
yeah.
and then he builds one, and he's like, well, heck, my dad didn't help me with this thing, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
So I think the talk needs to be more of, what age do you not have access to the internet?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that as somebody that had access to it when I was pretty young.
Yeah.
But not only are we talking about we're still talking about on the mental health side of things, because that's with everything, but the access to not only stuff like that, your access to porn and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You can shut all that crap off real quick if you don't have internet. because I don't know how many boomer dads are keeping magazines anymore.
Probably not many.
Probably not many. So you cut that off. I would like to see a statistic on the amount of school shooters we've had recently. At what age were they allowed to have the access to the internet? I bet you it would be really young.
Yeah, that seems to be a big thing, and there was a huge push at one point throughout, like, the kids who grew up on the internet from the jump. And so imagine you're born, and then at a few years old, let's say you're 2.5, they give you a phone. They're like, here's YouTube Kids. Guess what? What does every adult say about their kid and a tablet? Man, they know how to work that thing better than I do.
That's right.
So guess what? That's not going to work for you. Yeah. Oh, here you go. Only watch kids shows.
I'll figure that joke out real quick.
Take it from me, okay? I was bypassing stuff, and I'm finding workarounds so that I could have access to whatever I thought I needed. And luckily, all my stuff was like linked to my parents' accounts, and they were like, all right, we see what you're up to.
Hot blondes on there, I got
yeah. So that's a good way. Man, if you could do some kind of like linked account system, if you were going to let your children online at an earlier age, that would be really wise. As well as like another friend of ours, his kid was playing Roblox, and he was telling me how if you run a male character into a female character, it makes a sus noise. And so then his kid's asking me, why is this what occurs? And he's like, well...
It really does that in the game?
That's what I was told, yes.
Huh.
And so I'm like, you wouldn't even think that would be in a game like that.
No.
But yet it is. And
I'd be anxious to know what the sound is when two guys hit.
Don't know. Very, very interesting.
We've been having to help watch my brother-in-law's kid, and there's been plenty of moments I can already see it. I'm going to have to really, really strive hard to do this when I have a kid. Is when they're doing something and you may not be really involved in it, but you're with them.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here just not doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, because multiple times I'm like, let me ask him about this show or whatever he's watching.
Yeah.
Just to try to get somewhat closer, because whether you like it or not, I mean, he's watching you now too.
Yeah.
And they're picking the things apart. They, like you said, they don't understand it.
No.
But they're picking it apart, and one day they will.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I said earlier. If you set the example, I'm an uncle now, and dude, I'm telling you, he watches everything I do.
Watches everything.
You know what a Pez is?
A Pez?
Yeah, it's a little thing. It's got like a character's head, and you pull it back, and a little candy pops out.
I thought you were about to say break its neck, but I know what you. Yes, the old style candy thing.
Shout out to my pops. He got me one for Christmas this year, and it was so much fun. Just the nostalgia of it.
I was about to say, dude, you better keep that thing, because I haven't seen one of those in probably 10 years.
Dude, I don't know where he got it, first off, but mine's Mario, if anybody's wondering.
That's crazy.
And, well, guess what? He's my nephew's little, and so he wants to play with it, and it's Mario, but I don't think he needs the candy inside.
Yeah.
And so I hurried up and I ate it all real fast.
John's like, I'll get diabetes to save this kid.
What's the first thing he does? Is he opens up and puts it up to his mouth, just like I did to get the candy out.
Yeah.
So they're watching. And so if you sit there on your phone and you're scrolling, you don't pay attention, they're going to role model that.
Yeah. Guys, try to be good examples.
Yeah.
All the time for everybody, not just kids, other grown-ups.
Yeah.
People need good things in their life all the time.
Yeah.
So that's something we should strive to do.
Yes.
Like I said, I hope y'all strive to do it.
Yep.
I think that is where we're going to end it today. I'm going to have to kind of pitch all this all together. Sorry about the problems. We'll get that fixed next time. The batteries did not last what they said they were going to last. So, yeah, it was a good pod.
Good pod.
And got talking about some deep things. There's some stuff that we definitely need to keep going into.
Yeah.
I keep going into the school thing all day long.
Yeah.
But this is, I think we're going to end it today. John Boy, do you have anything left to tell the people?
Happy New Year's. I hope
I
hope you're going to have a productive next year. Hopefully you'll take some of the stuff we've talked about for the past 19 episodes and apply it to your life. we would love to hear about it in the comments.
Yeah, put the New Year's resolutions in the comments.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we've really talked about ours really any. This episode will be up before New Year's. So, yeah,
Sweet.
right on. I totally forgot about that. Time flies by. Anyway, guys, this has been podcast episode 19.
Yep.
Love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.